Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope that all of you are having an awesome weekend so far. I hope you're staying healthy and strong, students. This class is an IELTS speaking part 2 focus on career and school training for this cue card. So for those of you who are new to the IELTS exam, speaking part 2 is a 1 to 2 minute little speech or talk that you have to give based on 4 or 5 questions on a very specific kind of topic, and that topic could be about some kind of training that you received in school or at work. Welcome Angel, hi Habibe, welcome Domenico, Elizabeth, Anahita. Nice to have our members with us. Students, this is a members chat class. In order to join this chat, you have to be a channel member. Click the join button on our YouTube page to figure out which tier works best for you. This lesson is brought to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS success, visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. These are the websites that power these live lessons. If you're in these classes regularly, it's a really good idea to join the premium version of these websites. It does not cost a lot. In fact, it's quite affordable. And it's a one-time payment for lifetime access. Our goal is to help you succeed in your IELTS exam. This is aehelp.com here. Click that red button that's just above my head there. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access, and you will have all of the exams, videos, audio materials to follow these classes. We're an IDP affiliate, we're a British Council partner, we're an IELTS test registration center, and I'm a certified British Council agent. You're in great hands with us. And for the general IELTS students, it's gieltshelp.com. It's the green background. Again, it's just a one-time payment for lifetime access. Click that big red button that's there. Students, we still have that really special discount code going for reaching 100,000 followers on Instagram. We're really happy about that. So we created an extra special discount code this week to help you. The code is IG100K. You'll get a 25% discount on the websites. Of course, we have apps. The apps will link to the websites: Academic IELTS Help, General IELTS Help, and the Instagram profile with 100,000 followers now is IELTS_AE We put up reels and content there to help you prepare and study and schedules. So check it out, IELTS_AE and our general IELTS one is GIELTS Help. Hopefully we'll get 100,000 followers there too. All right. If you have questions about the IELTS exam, about English, about immigration, about going to school, you can send us an email, adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. And our schedule for the coming week is ready. So today we have speaking part 2 for members. After this speaking part 2 class, we will have a speaking part 3 class that's for everyone to join the chat. And then our next week of live classes, as usual, start on Thursday, the 24th, with speaking part 1 for everybody. Then we'll have reading for members. We'll have listening next week, parts 1 and 2 for subscribers, and then we'll have more speaking next Saturday. All right. Sounds like Romelia is in the UK on an adventure. Good for you, Romelia, catching the tail end of summer there. Hopefully you get some good weather. Not that British rain that's very common in the fall, winter, spring seasons. All right. Students, we do have new releases on YouTube all the time for you, so check out this release here. It's a good one. We're working on some exciting videos for you right now as well, and we've put some new videos onto the websites for the full courses also, so check those out. Okay. Let's get into speaking part 2. Speaking part 2 is a cue card. That means they call it a cue card. It's actually a little booklet in the IELTS exam, the face-to-face IELTS exam. Before they used to give little cards. I don't know if they still do. I don't see those really anymore. I just see the booklet questions, and of course in the computer the question pops up on your screen if you're doing the computer-based version. Nonetheless, you have this set of questions, and this is after speaking part 1. Speaking part 1 is introductions, questions on some general topic like your hobbies or sports you play, colors you like, some kind of general idea. And then after about 5 or 6 minutes, the examiner will say, that is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2 for this part. I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these. Think about your answers. You can take notes in this 1 minute time if you wish, and then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. I will tell you when to start, when to stop. Is that clear? You should say, yes, it's 100% clear. Okay, so confirm, tell the examiner, like say, yes, it's 100% clear. Which you should be, of course, as you're practicing before your IELTS exam. Hopefully nobody gets caught off guard by this cue card question in the IELTS. And then the examiner will say, talk about a recent event at school or work where you acquired a new skill. Your 1 minute preparation time begins now. They don't read all the questions, they just read this first one because it's introducing the topic. It's the most important piece. So they read it for you, so pay careful attention when they read it. And then you also read it, okay? Read it even twice. It's really important that you have an accurate answer. So talk about a recent event at school or work where you acquired a new skill. So make sure you don't say 10 years ago, okay? Because it says recent event. So you should say a couple months ago or last month. Recent event would mean like this year, okay? If you're saying last year, that's stretching it. I definitely wouldn't go past that, okay? So generally when somebody asks you a recent event, it means like within the last few months-ish, okay? And it has to be at school or at work where you acquired a new skill. Now, does that mean it has to have happened in the last few months? No. If you went to a seminar or if you attended a workshop or some kind of a training session and it was 10 years ago, but you really remember it clearly and it's the one that you really want to talk about because it's a good idea, then talk about it like it happened a few months ago. Okay, pretend. The examiner's not going to hire a private eye to investigate whether you're telling them the truth or not. Okay. Are you sure that it just happened a few months ago? So they don't care about that. So you just adjust, right? So you can pretend like it happened a few months ago, or even if it hasn't happened yet, you can pretend. Okay. Yeah, Anahita is asking, can I say a lesson on YouTube as an event? As long as it's connected to school or work, if it's connected to your school or work, Anahita, then you can. Virtual events are absolutely okay. A lot of seminars, a lot of training sessions are online or virtual using platforms like YouTube, absolutely. As long as it's related to work or school, okay? That's what's important. So it has to sound like it's on topic. All right, let's go through this. So what was the event? Where was it held? How long was the event? And who were the trainers? Okay. What skill or skills did you learn and why? And so there's quite a bit of content here. What would you suggest to the organizers to make this event even better in the future? Okay, these questions are not just here to guide you. All right, there's some bad information on the internet by certain people that say, oh, part 2 questions are just there to guide you. Just talk about an event where you learn a new skill. No. Okay, they want you to answer these questions on the cue card. Okay, the examiner says you will have 1 to 2 minutes to answer these questions, not similar questions or not information on related ideas. They say you have 1 to 2 minutes to answer these questions. Okay. Just in case some of you are like, well, who should I believe, Adrian or that other guy? No, believe your examiner. Okay, your examiner says you have 1 to 2 minutes to answer these questions. All right, everybody clear on that? I'd love to see some thumbs up, because I know there are some popular videos out there these days, and they're telling people that questions are just there to guide you. You just need to talk about the main idea. Absolutely not. Okay, if you want to get a good score, you have to answer these questions as the examiner says. Okay, good. Anahita Angel Habibe says, yes, I got that. Right? So listen to the examiner. Don't listen to this guy or that guy. Listen to the instructions. Okay. Domenico says, the last internship I took part in was in 2019. Yeah. So Domenico, pretend like that happened in 2023 February. Okay. So just bring it forward. Bring it forward. Okay, so we read the questions, and here we've got a lot of questions. If I were in the exam, I would certainly read these twice, just because there are quite a few interesting and unique questions here. So what was the event? Where was it held? How long was the event, and who were the trainers? What skill or skills did you learn, and why? And what would you suggest the organizers to make this event even better in the future? Okay, so now that you've read the cue card twice, that's your first step, right? So step 1, read the card carefully. Okay, step 2, identify that you're talking about an event. Okay. Okay, so when you talk about an event, you should talk about the time of the event, the location of the event, the attendees, so who were there, the activities, and your experience. So think about including all of that information in that order. So 3 months ago in April, I attended a workshop for my graphic design position at Metro Media. Okay, so explain the time and then explain the location. The event took place at a conference center in the Marriott Hotel downtown for 5 days from 9 o'clock in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. Okay, so location, time, right? Then the attendees. Myself and about 50 colleagues attended the event, as well as the 4 organizers and 2 hosts, right? So the attendees who were there, okay? And then the activities. The goal of this event was to teach staff about the latest version of Photoshop and some information on 3D modeling. Okay, so you talk about the activities, then the experience. I found this workshop and the seminar to be quite enjoyable. It was well organized, and I learned a lot of new skills to help me improve my projects. Okay, it was not only informative, but also great for me to network with some of the management and upper level staff. Hopefully this will help me to get a promotion in my work. Okay, so your experience, and then you pay attention to the card. Okay, so you look at these questions. How long was the event? What skills did you learn? Why? What would you suggest to the organizers? Okay, so specifically, I learned a lot about ways to use vector graphics as well as color correction, and how to make objects in 3D space. For the future, I would recommend the organizers to provide more group projects for the attendees so that we can improve our communication skills when using Photoshop with coworkers. Okay, so just come up with it, right? Now, of course, a lot of this you can identify during your note time. Now, notice that what I'm saying here, if I put it all together, it makes a lot of sense, right? And it's well organized because I'm following that pattern, okay? So I'm really focusing on time, location, attendees, activities, experience, and then I'm also, of course, focusing on the questions. Okay, you must not forget the questions. There are always a couple of unique questions in there. All right, so that's your step 2. And then once you've identified the fact that it's an event, plus you identify the verb tense, okay, and here you know that the verb tense is past tense, and maybe some present perfect, even though it's a recent event. There might be some present perfect and some past perfect in there as well. Okay, and then maybe a little bit of future participle will, just because the question asks you what you would suggest to the organizers. Okay. All right, Romelia says some training for some new software that we use in the lab. Okay, that's good, Romelia. That's kind of what I did too, right? Is talk about, oftentimes it's training for software for computers. I talked about Photoshop, so photo editing software or image software, right? And that's good. The one suggestion, everybody, if you're talking about a really technical skill, like I know, Romelia, that you work with chemistry equipment, just be sure that you can talk about it in English, okay? So if you learned how to use a new piece of software for chemistry, for example, or chemical analyses, just be really sure that you have experience talking about that in English, okay? You should never try to explain a tricky piece of information, like a very unique kind of software, for the first time in English in your IELTS. That's a really bad idea, okay? Everybody caught that, so be very careful with that, okay? Make sure that you have plenty of practice talking about the topic. Let's say like a tricky piece of software, complex piece of software. Okay, like I know I think it's for engineers, it's AutoCAD. AutoCAD, I think it's like that. Okay, which can be quite complex. There's also some complex accounting software, statistical analysis software. So really just make sure, right? Habibe says SolidWorks. Sure. So there's a lot of great software out there. Just make sure that you have experience talking about it in English. One really, really good piece of advice that I have for you, okay, I know lots of you probably do this, but some of you don't, is do your best to have your computer set up with English language and use an English version of Windows or Mac OS or Apple OS, okay, and use software in English. That's not just for the IELTS exam, by the way. So it's not just so that you can do a good job on the IELTS exam, but it's for your overall success. So it's, in my opinion, it's always best to install all of your software and all of your operating systems in English. There are a lot of advantages to that. Just the level of support and development, it's always the most advanced in English. And then if you need to convert to another language, just have that option. Okay, so when you have it installed in English, you usually have the option to switch to other languages very easily. Okay, but always have your installations in English. Everybody got that? That's a pretty good piece of advice for being successful globally these days. Okay, I think a lot of people realize that, and a lot of people are doing that. I still do get essays and documents where I can see that it was not actually created using an English version of Microsoft Word, or it was not an English version of a piece of software, and it's not the best. Okay, a huge advantage of this, okay, is that you learn all the technical words of that software in English. Okay, so for example, if we're talking about Photoshop, then you'll know what I'm talking about when I say use the magic wand select tool or use the eyedropper tool. Okay, because when you hover over those tools, it tells you in English the names of those tools. So in this way, you will learn all of the important elements of the software. And the reality is that you can probably translate those to your own language no problem, but vice versa, translating it from your language to English is a real headache. Okay, so in this way, you will learn all of the important elements of the software in English. So for example, in Photoshop, you will know words like layers, eyedrop tool, magnetic lasso. Okay, so you will know those, and if you don't, then it's going to be really hard when you get into a situation and you're talking to other people, not just English speakers, but people in other countries that speak other languages who also use those tools. Okay, so it makes a lot of sense. Okay, Domenico says, my laptop is all set up with English language from Windows to all of the software applications. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so make sure it's that way. All right, so step number 3 is to think about some good answers, okay? So some good choices, 2 to 3, okay? And it should be easy to talk about, lots of information, and original. Okay, give me some ideas, members. There's a good number of you in the class. Give me some ideas. So what are some workshops or some training sessions that you have attended recently for school or for work, which have helped you to be better in life in some way? So what I'd like you to do here is 2 pieces, okay? So workshop plus the skill, okay? So that's what you should be thinking here, is thinking about the workshop plus the skill. Okay, let me make this a little bit tinier, like that. Okay, so give me some. So here, Anahita, you're saying active reading or listening. And what was the workshop or what was the seminar where you learned active reading or active listening? And was it for school or was it for work? Okay, here I wouldn't just say it was for IELTS studies. Okay. Okay, so Domenico says biodiversity data analysis. Sure, and that was the skill, I'm guessing, that you're picking up. And what was that for? Was that for work, or was that for school, Domenico? What kind of a workshop or what kind of a situation was that, right? Romelia, you said training some new piece of software that you use in the lab. What's the software? Obviously, it's for work. Okay, so that would be for work. And what's the software? Be specific. Okay. All right. So you have to think quick here. Anahita, school, A helps YouTube channel. I really appreciate it, but I don't know if that would be such a good idea. It doesn't really seem like it's on topic with the cue card. So you have to come up with some other concept. Okay. All right. Deandra says, new project with a new client at work. That doesn't sound really like training, though, Deandra. A new project is not really training. Okay. Okay, so Angel says a mental disorders seminar. Okay, so let's say mental disorders. Okay, you'd have to think about what mental disorders specifically. Okay, and it's at university. Okay, that could work. But here for the mental disorders seminar, you want to be specific. So what are the mental disorders? Schizophrenia, right? Bipolar. So what are the mental disorders? Okay, be more specific. All right, so Domenico says focusing on data modeling techniques, applications in the field of biodiversity analysis, developing potential research proposal. Okay, that was the goal. All right. And was it in your 4th year of university? Was it in your master's studies? So what was it for, Domenico? Okay, think. All right. While you're thinking, because we're going to do volunteering, I'm going to, again, here, don't overcomplicate. Okay, remember, it's the IELTS. Your goal is to get a high band score. Careful not to choose an answer that's really difficult. So here, all I'm going to say, and I'm just making it up myself, so I'm going to say Photoshop was the skill, and it was for work. Okay. So for work, and it was a 5-day seminar. All right. And then again, as I gave you the example, I just basically go through time, location, attendees, activities, experience, and the questions, right? So 3 months ago, back in April, I attended a 5-day workshop for my position of graphic design at Mojo Media to improve my skills in the latest version of Photoshop. This is an industry leading software used to create static images. In my position, I use Photoshop to make advertising graphics for the company. Okay. So here I'm giving the background, I'm giving the time and what the workshop was, right? And then the location. So this workshop was held Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. with 1 hour for lunch at the downtown Marriott hotel, where our company rented a large conference room for this event. I attended with roughly 50 colleagues, about 5 or 6 organizers, and a host. The host is one of the most recognized experts in using Photoshop, and he taught special skills to improve use of vector graphics, colors, and 3D modeling. Okay, again, it doesn't have to be real. You can make up the information. I'm just completely making up this information, by the way. Simply just taking a piece of software that I'm familiar with, Photoshop, knowing that it's an important piece of software for a lot of companies, and then going through these steps, okay? Again, it's really important, everyone, that you study talking about people, places, events, ideas, and objects before you sit your IELTS exam, and you can learn all of that in your course at aehelp.com. If you go to your My Student page and you go to your online course and you go to the speaking section, then you will be able to look up and discuss all of the different pieces of information based on the strategies that you learn there. So check those out, members. I saw a lot of premium course users in the chat the other day, so I really hope everybody is using this this premium course. It's really good. Okay, it's there for you. All right, we'll use the website in a bit to start talking to each other. Okay. All right. Domenico, I like how you're writing in the chat. Lots. That's really good. Okay, you're practicing. I'd like to see more of that from some of the other members as well. Okay. All right. And then we keep going. I found the event extremely useful, and I picked up quite a few new skills to maximize the capabilities of the software. Not only did I find the workshops very informative, but I had lots of opportunities to network with colleagues and superiors at my company whom I otherwise do not have the chance to usually have discussions with at the office. Okay. And then once I've spoken about the activities, the experience, then I definitely check the questions before the examiner stops me. I want to make sure that I'm answering all the questions. So how long was the event and who were the trainers? I already talked a bit about that. What skill or skills did you learn? I talked about that. Okay, what would you suggest? So at the end of the seminar, I filled out an assessment form and gave constructive feedback to the organizers about ways they can improve similar events in the future. Okay, because lots of times these kinds of events, that's how they finish, that's how they end. They give you a little sheet and they say, how did we do? What can we do better, right? And then you kind of write down a couple of ideas. So about ways they can improve similar events in the future. I let them know that it was a bit difficult to hear the speaker at the back of the room, so they need to improve the audio equipment. Also, I recommended that they implement more group projects throughout the workshops, so that the event also helps to nurture team spirit in the company. Okay? All right. And then I'm done. Okay? So that's it in a nutshell. And it's not about vocabulary. So sure, having the vocabulary helps, but it's a lot more about the information firstly in your thoughts. So it's where structure meets vocabulary, and together they create coherent, fluent language and a high band score, right? So take a look, everybody. We'll go through this question and answer, and then hopefully, members, you're thinking about some answers here as well, because you're going to be volunteering, hopefully, very soon here. Okay? All right. Let's do it. So let's take a look. Okay? So I skipped the whole notes part here. And by the way, some of you might have realized that, like, oh, Adrian skipped the notes. Okay? All right. I kind of did that on purpose today, because taking good notes is a good idea, but it's not the most important part of your 1 minute preparation time. I think that if you practice the steps that I'm showing you in these speaking part 2 classes a few times before your IELTS test, I genuinely believe that you don't actually need your notes all that much. Okay? I find that a lot of candidates don't even use their notes. They don't look at them. Just write them down, and then they just never look at them again during the speaking. It's much more important to have a good idea for your topic of what you're going to talk about, and to clearly understand how to structure your communication, because then the notes are really all inside your head and you just follow that structure. Does that make sense? Does anybody have questions about that? About why notes may not be all that valuable? You might put down a couple of details that help you to add information or expand information, like vector graphics, for example. But writing down Photoshop is certainly useless. Okay? All right. I see a couple of 100% flying through the screen, so I'm guessing that you get what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's the question. Here's the cue card question. Again, talk about a recent event at school or work where you acquired a new skill. You should say, what was the event? Where was it held? How long was the event? And who were the trainers? What skill or skills did you learn and why? What would you suggest the organizers to make this event even better in the future? Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking. 3 months ago, back in April, I attended a 5-day workshop for my position of graphic design at Mojo Media to improve my skills in the latest version of Photoshop. This industry-leading software is used to create static images In my position, I use Photoshop to make advertising graphics for the company. This workshop was held Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. with 1 hour for lunch at the downtown Marriott Hotel, where our company rented a large conference room. I attended with roughly 50 colleagues, about 5 or 6 organizers, and a host. The host is one of the most recognized experts in using Photoshop, and he taught special skills to improve use of vector graphics, colors, 3D modeling. I found the event extremely useful, and I picked up quite a few new skills to maximize the capabilities of this software. Not only did I find the workshop very informative, but I had lots of opportunities to network with colleagues and superiors at my company whom I otherwise do not have the chance to usually have discussions with at the office. At the end of the seminar, I filled out an assessment form and gave constructive feedback to the organizers about ways they can improve similar events in the future. I let them know that it was a bit difficult to hear the speaker at the back of the room, so they need to use better audio equipment. Also, I recommended that they implement more group projects throughout the workshops so that the event also helps nurture team spirit in the company. All right, and then at this point, the examiner will say that is the end of part 2. We will now continue with part 3. Okay. All right. Any questions about this cue card or about this response, about the vocabulary as we get into some volunteering? Okay, we're going to do some volunteering, everybody. This is how you volunteer, excuse me, for speaking. Okay. So you go to aehelp.com, go to the website. Oh, there's Umra. Hey, Umra. Kind of silently watching, are we, in the background there? Thank you, Umra, for putting the instructions in there. So go to the website, and then once you're at the website, go to your My Student account. In your My Student account, you have lots of really nice content, computer-based practice exams, full academic IELTS course, workshop study plans, lesson videos, audio CDs, so lots of goodies there. That's right, Amra. Out of the blue. In fact, a better idiom than out of the blue, Amra, would be out of left field. It's a baseball idiom that we use, out of left field. It's unexpected, surprising. Instead of out of the blue is referring, I think, to the ocean. All right, anyway, so you've got a lot of goodies here. What we're using right now is the student partner speaking. It's that function there that's just right above my head, and what I'd like you to do is simply click on that student partner speaking, click that you'll accept and speak politely, and then you will be in the chat interface here where you will see Miguel, Angel, Nguyen, Satish, Aditya, Ahmed, Maid, lots of people volunteering. That's great. Okay. All right, find me in here, everybody. You will find me as Master, and you will see a little blue envelope next to my handle as well. Okay. You want to click on that and say, I want to volunteer, or I want to try. And then you will be able to. I'd love to see some members doing this. Okay, so if you're a member, let me know, and let me know what your handle is as a member. I do have this weird feeling that members are often watching and then they're just not in the chat, but they're volunteering. So make sure to volunteer. Okay. All right. Let's pick somebody here. So somebody who hasn't had a chance in a while. I know that Ahmed was really adamant yesterday as well and hasn't had a chance. So let's give Ahmed a chance. Ahmed, I do remember you really attempting to volunteer yesterday and the day before. So are you ready? And I appreciate that you're in the classes and you're very studious. So and you're a premium student, which is great. Are you ready, Ahmed? I think we've heard from Ahmed once or twice so far. Okay, so Ahmed, if you're there, let me know, and then I can give you a call and we can engage this cue card topic. Perfect.
Hello,
Hi, Ahmed. How are you?
I am fine. Adrian, how are you?
I am doing good. Thanks for asking. Ahmed, you are studying very hard, I can tell, every day, right?
Actually, I want to do more, but I am really busy with my family and with my job. So as long as I am trying to reach you that at that classes, I definitely go for it. But I feel bad that I can't give myself too much to your classes
You
because of my
shouldn't. Ahmed, you
family.
shouldn't. If you're doing your best and it really sounds like you are, that's all we can ask from ourselves. We're all limited by time. 24 hours is 24 hours for everybody, whether it's you, me, Steve
Yeah.
Jobs is no more, but whether it's somebody famous, it's all 24 hours, right? So if we're making the most of that time, just be proud of that, right? I know because I do the same, Ahmed. I'm like you. Sometimes I'm like, I need to do more, I need to do more, but then I realize, that's we can't make the 25th hour. It's not possible. So all right, Ahmed. Well, here we are. Let's get into this. So before I ask you to answer this cue card, can you remind me why are you taking the IELTS exam?
Actually, just for personal purposes, there is no future plan for me to study abroad again in university or immigration. No, I have no plan about that. But just to be feeling more accurate and satisfied with English,
Hmm.
just prove to myself that is the thing.
Well, English is definitely a gateway to the world and also for financial and life success. So it's very smart of you. You say, I don't have any plans to study abroad again. Does that mean that you already did some study abroad?
I never studied abroad, but in case I'm living in abroad for 12 years. I am from Turkey, but I lived in India. Now I am in Nepal. I lived in Russia and South Africa. So I am working, so I cannot spare time for again study because I am married. I have two children. So that's
Okay.
why I just want to be perfect at English. Something I need to be perfect, and English is definitely one of them.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's very smart. All right. Well, let me start you off for this cue card. Give me an answer, and then I will give you feedback based on what I hear. Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay, then now let's move on to part two. For this part, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these, think about your answers, and then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. Talk about a recent event at school or work where you acquired a new skill. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
Actually, it is. It could be a more nice question to someone else younger than me. But last recently, I haven't been in any kind of school or work to get any new skill. But I can say, being an abroad and then studying in some kind of language institutes, I have met native speakers when I was not in my country, Turkey, but outside. I saw people more interested in languages, so I learned how to speak fluently from a native speaker. He was from USA, but his name was Miguel. He was born and raised in Spain with American family. He taught me a lot to be free speaking and relax, feel more comfortable when I speak English. I can say that is a recent skill that I try to learn or derive from the full benefit from this teacher.
That is the end of part two. We will now continue with part three. For this part, I will ask you a question related to your response and some questions connected to the topic of part two. What would you suggest to Miguel to make his teaching even better?
Actually, I liked his methods very much, but instead of focusing on the grammar of the English a lot, I would have, if I had a chance, I would suggest him to focus on the foreign students about their pronunciation, and then spelling actually helps a lot to students. I never saw him doing that. Actually, I would wanted to study pronunciation with him more.
Okay, good. So, all right. Ahmed, not bad. Not bad. A little bit off topic. Okay. In the IELTS, if you do decide to sit the exam and to, get as high of a mark as possible, you really have to pay attention to answering the question. Sometimes candidates will get lucky and they will have a question that's very closely related to what they do or some experience they had. And sometimes it will not be closely related and it will be more challenging because there will be less experience or less information for the candidate from life. The goal is always to answer the question. So you said, actually, this could be more or a nicer question to somebody other than me. Don't ever start like that in the real test. That's true for everybody, okay? So never start with a negative. So never start with, well, this is not my cup of tea, or I don't really go to seminars and workshops, because it's very hard to give good information using good vocabulary, good content when you start like that, right? And that's actually what happens. So you have good English. I think your English should be around a band 7, 7.5 on the IELTS. You have fairly good fluency, fairly good grammar and vocabulary. But with this kind of an answer, you probably wouldn't get more than a 6.5 maybe, because it's not really answering the question. And having English instructions from Miguel at an English institute is not really a workshop. So what you need to do in this case is you need to take this information and make it into a workshop. So you should say, a few months ago, I did a 2-week intensive language workshop with Miguel from the USA. Do you see how that goes? So, so you want to improve that skill of being creative with English, okay? So 3 months ago, I did an intensive English training seminar with Miguel from the USA and 10 other people, okay? And then pretend like all of that learning that you did with Miguel years ago was in this 2-week intensive seminar. So if you do decide to sit the IELTS, definitely go this direction, okay? Because that will get you the highest mark for this kind of a cue card. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, and then I am very well aware of this. When I see the people, especially I think last week, I think there was a one lady spoke from Dubai, right? UAE, United Arab Emirates. I think you
Yes.
said to her, Ben
Hmm.
9, Lydia or something. It was.
Lydia, that's right. Yes, exactly.
I want to be like her, but I don't know why I cannot make it, because I cannot make a story. I know in IELTS exam, even it is not the subject or even the seminar I haven't attend, I need to make up a story, and then I am not good at it. So I will try my best to do here. I know what is gonna be deduct the points or gain the points. I am really well aware of it. I think all the people are aware of it, but they need to be more powerful with this exercise, and then they will have skills. And then you doing nice. I know actually when I speak, I see that, oh, that is going band line. I am very aware of it. I really feel it, but
Here's
somehow
a
I can.
here's a good piece of advice. Here's some good exercise. And I'll tell you why I'm giving you this advice. It's from my own life. So I speak 3 languages as well. So I speak English, I speak Hungarian, and I speak conversational Japanese. And I have 2 children like you. I have a 7-year-old daughter and I have a 2-year-old daughter. May I ask, how old are your children?
Yeah, my one daughter is 7, the other is 1.5 years old.
Okay, so very close to, very similar to me. All right. Do you ever read them bedtime stories?
I just last week I purchased 7 bedtime stories for my daughter, and then I read them a lot to her, and then I see how to make a story. Maybe in my own language I will be more successful in this, but I am not making alibis or any kind of excuses for this.
You
I
see
want
where
to,
I'm going. You see where I'm going with this, right, Ahmed? So
yeah,
do it in English. First of all, it's very good to start introducing other languages, and kids are very open to other languages when they're little like that. So introduce them as much as you can to English. Make sure you have some English storybooks, and whenever you feel up to it, try to, even kids don't care if it's like a 2-minute story or a 5-minute story. Make up a story. Once upon a time, there lived a princess in a castle far, far away. And just make up a story in English. And that way you're entertaining the kids and you're improving your ability to kind of create English language spontaneously. Okay. And I think that could be a fun exercise for you that could translate into creating good stories for IELTS questions as well. Just a thought. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I really got you. And then I am being volunteer here. I want to say something, but that is not. Maybe you will be like disappointed. Last week also he spoke like that. This week also speaking like that. Why he is not improving? I don't know. Being a teacher is a bit hard thing to. Uh,
No,
there
I
is
don't.
no
I don't get disappointed, Ahmed. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about me.
instantly.
I'm
So that
actually, in fact, Ahmed, I'm quite the opposite. I would say I'm very positively surprised that you have all of this going on in your life, and you take on another challenge like practicing for the IELTS. So I think I have nothing but respect for what you're doing. So thank you so much for volunteering, and keep that up. Okay.
thank you so much, Adrian. Have a nice class, and then I am happy to hear you and then our friends more and more. Really, I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Bye, Ahmed. Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, that was Ahmed. What a great guy. Let's give him a thumbs up. Yeah, incorporate language, incorporate creativity into as many aspects of life as possible. So definitely, if you have some kids or some cousins, nieces, nephews that you can tell stories to in English, practice that skill. Okay, you've got lots of thumbs up, Ahmed, from Domenico and Angel, and I think a lot of people appreciate your story. Let's take somebody new here. I think we've never talked to Janelle. Janelle, we can only do audio because I'm using video for YouTube. But yes, Janelle, you can try this part two. We've got so many premium students coming into the chat. I love seeing that. That is so fantastic. Janelle, are you ready? Okay. Mauro Cruz, thank you for joining. Hop on in. Get in on the website, aehelp.com, Mauro. Get in on the chat. I'd love to hear your voice. Janil, if you're there and you're seeing my message, let me know. Okay. Amra, maybe let Mauro know how to join the chat here on the website if you have a second. Okay. Fair enough, Janelle. Janelle says, no, actually, I'm not because I'm having dinner right now. All right, well, we've got a few more minutes, so if you finish dinner in the next little bit there, Janelle, then come back to me. All right, our member, Angel. Are you ready? Angel's just welcoming Mauro there. Yeah, there you are, Mauro. Mauro says, good morning. Thanks, Mauro. All right. Angel. Long time member. I think a few months now for sure, right, Angel? If you're there and you want to try this cue card, let me know. Okay, I know you're very studious as well. I'll give you a chance. I know you're here because you're in the chat. You just have to recognize that I'm sending you a message. A few second delay. All right, Amra, thank you. So, Mauro, if you're looking at Amra's instructions, that's how you can join the chat session here. Hi, Angel.
Hi, how are
How are
you?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
All right. Angel, just for all the newcomers, can you quickly remind everybody where you are in the world and why are you studying IELTS?
Yeah, I've been living in Turkey for past 3 years, and I'm planning to immigrate to an Anglophone country in order to get my PhD degree.
Nice language. Anglophone country. You are learning your vocabulary. That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anglophone means English speaking. And we use that in Canada quite a bit because, of course, we're bilingual here. So we say Francophone or Anglo Saxon. But yes, Anglophone is okay as well. Anglophone, Francophone. Francophone is French speaking. Yeah. All right, Angel, that's great. I'm here to help you. What's your timeline? When are you hoping to make the transition to the other country?
um, sir, it's about 6 p.m. here,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we have I don't know, more than 12 hours.
No, I think we miscommunicated there. What I'm saying here, Angel, is when do you plan to move? So start your studies.
Yeah, sir, as soon as I take this exam, I want to send my application
Mm-hmm.
to different universities in Canada, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to move for winter.
So
Um, I hope.
2024, winter,
Yeah,
like January, February. Okay.
yes, sir. I
All right.
hope.
All right. Plan well ahead because you know that a lot of the applications for international students, you have to really be like well in advance, like 6 months, 8 months in advance, right? So you really
Yes,
want to
sir.
just kind of go, go, go. Okay. Well, Angel, let's do this part two. I'm going to start you off. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here we go. So talk about a recent event at school or work where you acquired a new skill. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
The last educational event that I participated back to 3 years ago when I was a master's student, and one of the significant aspects of our studies was learning about mental disorders. Therefore, we were given the opportunity to engage in volunteer work exclusively related to schizophrenia patients at a rehabilitation center called Cloud of Mind. um, there was a great number of experts and professors who mentored the students, and this course approximately took about 1 year in duration. And adaptably, the purpose of conducting this course was to help students gain practical experience in interacting with individuals who were facing challenges related to schizophrenia. About 30 students in total were responsible for participating in this imperative internship. Furthermore, we had to design a system for collecting the schizophrenia patients' clinical symptoms. This included documenting various types of illusion and delusions they experienced. And our ultimate goal was to develop the most effective therapeutic strategies to help these patients. At the end of the day, I acquired valuable knowledge on how to assess the severity of their condition and categorize them into different groups based on their symptoms.
Okay, your time is up. I will stop you there and we'll now go on to part three. All right, that was good, Angel. So, first of all, fluency, pronunciation, outstanding, roughly around a band 9. Your vocabulary 8.5, so again, very good to expert level. Grammar also very good to expert level. You made a couple mistakes with vocabulary, a couple mistakes with grammar, but nothing very strange and nothing too repetitive, so that was okay. Your coherence was closer to an 8, and the reason why is because I understood what you said, but you didn't answer all the questions on the cue card. What would you suggest the organizers to make this event even better in the future? You missed that question, and that will cost you. Okay, so in the real IELTS, when you're going for that band 9 or that 8.5, the examiner needs to hear you answer all of those questions. That's why I keep the questions on the screen, is to hopefully encourage anybody who's speaking to look at the questions and go, oh, okay, there's that one. What would you suggest to the organizers? And I still have to answer that one. So I was hoping that you would get that in there, but it didn't happen. And then I could tell you kind of stopped and missed that one. So careful with that, okay?
Yeah.
Angel, don't rush. Your fluency is a band 9, and it will still be a band 9 even if you speak 10-15% slower. And instead of speaking so quickly, so speak a little bit slower and use that extra time to focus on being more accurate with your grammar, your word forms, and including all the necessary information. And then I think you can get even as high as a band 9 if you have a really good day. Like here at the start, you said the last education event. What's the correct form of the word education in this case?
Educational events.
Exactly. Yeah, right. I couldn't hear the educational. That's the other issue. So it could be because of our connection, but also it could be because you might be rushing. Sometimes if we try to speak too quickly, what happens is in our head, we hear the word educational, but from our mouth, we only say the word education, right? And that happens to native speakers too, right? It's not just a non-native speaker of the language. So when we're speaking really quickly, we tend to make errors that we don't even realize we're making because of the speed, right? So and the other interesting phenomenon that happens when we speak really quickly, we don't emphasize the form of the word enough, so the listener can't catch it. So maybe you did say educational, but I didn't hear the AL emphasis, and so I couldn't hear it, right? And so I'd have to listen back to the recording and go, oh, did she actually say it or not? And they might do that on the IELTS, but it's better to just be a little bit slower and really, especially in the beginning, emphasize the words. The last educational event that I participated in back 2-3 years ago, which is a bit too long for recent event, 2-3 years. I would say 2-3 months ago or last year. Okay, so careful with that. Was learning about mental disorders. So a little bit slower, a little bit more meticulous. Okay, Angel? Practice that.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
All right. Otherwise, very good though, for sure. Okay?
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, Angel.
Bye, sir.
All right, that was Angel. Really good. Thumbs up to her. She's awesome. I'm sure that Angel will succeed in her worldly adventures to gain a doctorate degree. I have no doubt. All right, thumbs up. Let's take somebody else. Let's see, who are some volunteers? I do see you, Habibe, Juan, Domenico. Yes, don't worry, I'm not blind. Yes, I see you. But I do know that the three of you have had chances to volunteer, Aditya as well. So that's why I'm looking to see if there's any new brave souls who have not tried part 2 and want to give it a shot. If not, then I will give somebody else a chance. Maid, I think, also has had a chance, but maybe not as recently. So Maid, are you ready? I think it's because Maid can't always connect. I'm not sure if it's like a VPN issue or what. Hello, Maid. I was hoping that you were gonna have a connection today, and I know we've talked before, but I don't hear you. Maid, you have to think about what you're doing differently or what worked before, because if I remember correctly, we did talk that one time, and I'm not sure why it's not consistent for you, but definitely check why that could be. Okay, I don't hear you. All right. Let's try Aditya. Aditya, are you ready? I believe Aditya is both a premier student and a member. Aditya, if you're there, let me know. Yes.
Hey, hi Adrian.
How are you, Aditya?
I'm really good. Thanks for the opportunity.
You are most welcome, Aditya. All right. Aditya, you ready to give this part 2 cue card a go?
Sure. I would really like to give it a go.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I will start you off and then just do your best. Really pay attention to the questions on the cue card, okay? So make sure you answer all of them, all right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, here we go. So talk about a recent event at school or work where you acquired a new skill. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
Yeah. So recently, last month, I attended a cloud computing held in my office. It was a really interesting event that taught us how computing services were delivered in real time. And it was held for a week. And the trainer was a well-known cloud computing expert in my organization. So cloud computing is basically it gives us idea how the computer related services will be delivered over the internet, and those skills are really necessary in the job that I do. So in this workshop, I gained the skills that how I can exploit the cloud computing services and use them in my day-to-day work. So that gave me an edge in my job. So the event was really organized well, but just to make it a little bit better, I think that event can be like it can be made more collaborative, and the organizers can add few more interactive tasks, like maybe doing a project together with few participants. That would really help them to make it even better.
Okay, your 1 minute preparation time is up. I will stop you there and we will now continue on with part 3. Okay, that was really good. All right. Something interesting here. You would probably score about a band 8.5 for that, maybe even a 9. And what's really interesting is you're here. So here is, it was actually quite good that we had Angel and you back to back like that.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is Angel's vocabulary was higher level. So she used more unique words, more academic words, trickier words. And in some ways, her grammar, her sentence structure was even more complex.
Mm-hmm.
However, most likely, I would wager that you would actually score half a band to a band higher than Angel. And Angel, this is just constructive criticism, okay? So the reason I'm making this comparison is so that people can really understand how IELTS works. The question is why? Why would you then get a better score if you have less complex grammar, less complicated vocabulary? The reason why is because you answered all the questions, you were very direct with your answers, and you were a little bit slower. You emphasized your ideas and it made a lot of sense. Your grammatical accuracy was very high as well. You made very few to no grammatical mistakes. So instead of saying years ago, you said recently. You literally took the question and you reflected it just exactly. You said, oh, you want me to talk about a recent event? I'll talk about a recent event recently. In fact, last month, right? I attended a cloud computing workshop in my office. It's a super direct, clear concept. Okay, it taught us how how cloud computing services can be delivered in real time. So it's not really fancy vocabulary, but it's not everyday vocabulary. So it's still an expert level of language here. And then you explained what cloud computing is. You didn't expect me to know that cloud computing means like working with information online. So you took it really step by step. You realized that, hey, maybe this guy's not tech savvy. They're not into cloud computing. And then you did use some nice expressions. So you said it gave me an edge in my job. Now, this is arguably a little bit of a grammatical mistake because it's not just past tense, but it's present general. So that gives me or it gives me would be more
Okay.
accurate because it's now, right? But it's not a big mistake. And then, of course, you answer that last question. You said, I think the event could be better if it were more collaborative, which was a really nice use of the word collaborate, another form. And you didn't speak for 2 minutes. You spoke for about a minute, maybe 80 seconds. But you answered all the questions, and the examiner will be happy with that. As long as you have all of the
Okay.
answers in there, you don't need to do 120 seconds. Examiners don't mind if you have 80, 90 seconds of speech and all of the answers are there. So that's the way you want to do it. So just a little bit of attention to the grammar, just a touch. And
Yeah.
if you want to make sure that it's an 8.5 or 9, a little bit more detail, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
I
can
felt
give a
that.
little bit more detail. Like you can say the workshop was for 3 days. It was 2 to 3 hours each day. I had to log in through my computer in my office. So just a little bit more detail, a couple more ideas
Absolutely.
to improve that lexical resource. But overall, very, very good, Aditya. That was great.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. I just have one question.
Go ahead.
Do we get to see the questions in real time in the real exam?
Oh, absolutely. And they leave
Oh,
them there. That's the other
okay.
interesting part is the examiner gives you the questions until the very, very end. They will actually say, now I will take back the questions. Your time is up. And what's really weird, Aditya, is so many times what I see happen is people get stuck. They forget what they want to say, and they completely forget that they have the questions and the notes
Yeah,
in front of
that's a
them.
good cue to have. If you have the questions,
Yeah.
it makes it really easy to structure the speaking part.
Absolutely. So make sure you use them, right? Like, especially if you get stuck or you get stressed, just take a second, look at the paper. The examiner knows that, oh, okay, you're looking at the questions and you're going to continue speaking. So they watch your eyes, they watch your body
Correct.
language, right? So,
Yes, yes,
so use
absolutely.
the questions. Yeah. Good question, Aditya. Thank you so much. Have a
Thank you so
great
much.
rest of
Thank
your
you.
day. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Same
Bye.
to you. Thank you. Bye bye.
All right, that was really good. So, yeah, cloud computing at work seminar, picking up that skill of how to effectively use cloud computing. All right, everybody. I'm going to stop there for now. Instead, what I'm going to do for a minute or two, members, is give you a chance to ask questions about part 2. I know last week I had this request of can you give us some chance to ask you some questions about part 2. So I'd like to spend maybe a couple minutes right now to answer some questions that you might have. I know that, you know, there are some intricacies to part 2 that are not 100% clear for everybody. So here's your chance to get clarification. If you would like to ask me a question about how IELTS works for part 2, the computer-based or the paper-based versions, what you should or should not do, what they will take marks for, what they will give marks for. Now is your chance to ask me. And thank you, by the way, for all the thumbs up for Aditya. That was really good. Yeah. So any questions, guys, gals, about part 2? Mauro Cruz, our newest member, did you have any questions about part 2 when you set this part? I know it's one of the most stressful parts of the IELTS exam for many candidates. So they worry about the IELTS speaking part 2 the most, right? Okay. Yeah, Habibe, if you have a question, just fire away. Think about it this way. If you have a question and you're thinking it, it's most likely that a lot of other people are thinking it as well. Yeah, Angel, for sure, cover all the questions. If you're asking me in that, and band 9, right? It has to be nearly perfect. All of the answers have to be there. Habibi, yeah, parenting seminar is an absolutely a good idea. It's not off topic. So now it does say school or work, not personal life. So Habibi, if you're going to talk about a parenting seminar, maybe connect it to work, right? So Habibe is asking, can I talk about a parenting seminar? As long as it's connected. So Habibe, in your case, if you want to talk about a parenting seminar, I would do it this way. I would do like something like this. My office sponsored a parenting seminar for any employee who felt this would help them to do better in their job. I attended this seminar and gained valuable skills on managing quality parenting with effective workflow. Okay, so something like that, Habibi. So you might have to adjust it a little bit so it's not just like a personal seminar that you're doing for personal growth or development. Ooh, just a second. Somebody's calling me here. I have to... Oh. Sorry guys, girls, yeah, I'm trying to speak here, so that's not going to work. But don't worry, everybody. We have speaking part 3 coming up, and we're going to do lots of volunteering there, okay? So, Habibi, you might have to adjust it a little bit. Don't go off topic. Don't say it was for personal choice or personal development, but as long as it's connected, you're good. Okay, Maro says, yes, I'm planning to take the computer-based test, so any information is useful. Thank you. Yeah, Maro, the one tip for the computer-based test when you're doing the speaking and speaking part 2, speaking loudly, clearly, in an organized way is even more important for the computer-based test because you don't have that personal connection like when you're in the face-to-face version. Okay, so you have to really pay attention in the computer-based version of the speaking to emphasize what you say. And notice how I'm using my hands higher up than in real life because I know that I'm limited by the frame of the camera. It's good to practice that. Okay, Maro, so really practice this kind of interview style before. You can do that in the student partner speaking. You can do video chat, Maro. So on the website, Maro, I definitely recommend using the student partner speaking, sending a message to Habibe or Angel or Aditya and saying, hey, can we practice a video? Do you mind doing like a video chat practice so I can get prepared for my computer-based exam? Okay. Okay, and Maro, so if you're doing the speaking part face-to-face, that's great, all right? Yeah, you definitely want to find that out. But if you're doing it face-to-face, it's a bit better than doing it through the computer for sure, okay? Definitely practice computer-based exams through online portals, like through the website here. Do the computer-based tests, okay? All right. Yeah, Elizabeth saying to Angel, don't be too self-critical, right? Don't be too self-critical. Yeah. Just take note and improve. Absolutely. Anahita is talking about attending a seminar on depression to boost skills to help people suffering from this disorder. Is that okay? Absolutely, Anahita. I think that's a much better choice than learning English through YouTube. Yes. Okay. Amra says, sir, I wonder if the speaking can be more than 15 minutes. Actually, my classmate took her speaking and her speaking lasted for 21 minutes. 6 to 7 minutes were spent in speaking part 1. Yes, Amra, technically it shouldn't. And if the examiner is taking more than 15 minutes, it's probably because they're new. And their supervisor will probably say, hey, don't do that. You're going to run out of time. You won't be able to test all your candidates. You're going to be working for free. So it shouldn't take more than 15 minutes, but sometimes it does, depending on the examiner. They might lose track of time, especially if the examiner is kind of new and they don't have as much experience controlling the time. Then it can drag on a little bit. So it's possible to have a 20-minute interview as well. Yes, there's no like golden rule or set in stone rule that it has to be 15. Okay, they're instructed that it shouldn't be longer, but okay. All right. Good. Okay, sounds like everybody. And if you have some questions that come up during our break, remember to ask me in next class in part 3. And you can always send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com or to admin@aehelp.com. All right, thank you so much, volunteers, members, premium members. The next class, speaking part 3, will continue with this topic. Okay, in the meantime, check out aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Check out gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Remember, all you have to do to sign up for the premium version of that course is to click the big red button that's just kind of above my head there. And it's a really good investment of your time and your money, especially if you are in these live classes regularly, so you can get all the materials that we use for these live classes. Okay, I will be back in half an hour, in 30 minutes, with speaking part 3. Everybody will be able to join that chat. And of course, I would like to see a lot of volunteers next class to practice their speaking and to improve English, improve communication. Thank you so much. Again, I'm Adrian, signing out from Victoria, and I will be back shortly. Bye for now, everyone.